Hey, it's Nicole Kellerman-Worth, CEO of WildBeAlive.com, where we help women get on the same team as their bodies so they can feel and look their best. When a woman realizes how badass her body is, she feels alive and is no longer afraid to create the life she's always wanted. I know this to be true because it's happened to me and thousands of our clients. Welcome to the journey of getting on the same team as your body. Hello, sisters. I try not to start these podcast episodes always saying, oh my goodness, but I am just so excited to share with you a Wildly Alive mentor named Martha, who has had her experience of Soul Sister has been, it seems like night and day. It really has seemed like night and day. And maybe she wasn't she totally open, didn't necessarily know what Soul Sister had to offer her, what female relationships had to offer her in her life. But the thing about Martha is when she did this, so she's a mentor now, which is really exciting. And not only does that takes her level of sisterhood and soul sister to another level, because now we are in this leadership group together where it's a group of us, mentors and myself and Ashley, who's also on the Wildly Alive team. So we have a group, we have a Voxer group of 8 of us. And we have some really deep conversations that are all centered around leadership, self-leadership and stuff like that. I don't think that Martha maybe would have been necessarily open to that if she hadn't had gone through Sisterhood Rising, and which is the free experience going on the first week of February 2022, or the Soul Sister class within Wildly Alive Mastery. But when the thing that I absolutely adore about Martha is, you know, some of these philosophies within Wildly Alive may seem like not relevant to health or your body. Like we talk about things like, you know, sisterhood relationship, and we talk about things like money and all of that. But the thing about Martha, she was always down, always up for it, always like, okay, well, I'm not exactly sure where this is going to go, but I'm in. She is just really, really open and receptive. And when we started the Soul Sister class last year, one thing that I said is like, but my intention is that by the end of your time in mastery, you will have sent me a Voxer or something saying that you met a soul sister in your community. Like you actually have a physical soul sister. And it totally happened with Martha, and it was not by accident. It was very intentional on her part. And her soul sister ended up becoming, one of her soul sisters was a woman from the Wildly Alive sisterhood, which she sought out, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to feature her, is because what was interesting is, you know, Martha and I, when she was a Wildly Alive sister, we had a Voxer coaching relationship, which is something you can do in mastery. Is, you know, aside from the mentors and the sisterhood, if you want personalized coaching from me, you can upgrade and get Voxer coaching, which is just like this free app where it's like walkie-talkie style. It's very convenient and nice. And so she kept on talking about how she was meeting up with Roxanne. She was meeting up with Roxanne. And I knew that there was a Roxanne who had graduated Wildly Alive Mastery like 6-8 months prior to that. And I was like, I think she's talking about that Roxanne, but she must have, like, their time together in mastery overlapped just a little bit, not a lot. Like Roxanne was getting ready to graduate when Martha was coming in. I think they were probably in the program together for like 2 or 3 months. And so I just assumed that they knew each other prior to mastery. And I was like, well, you know, Roxanne maybe told Martha about mastery, and so that's why Martha jumped in. And then after more investigation, that was not the case. That was totally not the case. They were in it for a little bit. Something was niggling inside of Martha to reach out to Roxanne after or during the Soul Sister process. And now they have, and like, total spoiler alert, like now they have this really beautiful soul sister relationship. And I just had to share the story. I couldn't let Martha share it because when when Martha told me, oh no, like Roxanne and I didn't know each other before Wildly Alive. And I was like, what? And so now, and they're like meeting up, they like meet up in person. They don't even live near each other and they go on vacations together. And I was like, wait, hold on. You got to tell me what this whole thing, like, tell me how this all went down. And she explained it to me. And I'm telling you, like, my face just like lit up in excitement because I was like, this is amazing. This is so amazing. And this isn't the first time that it's happened with the Wildly Alive retreat. Those women, after the retreat, created their own little retreat and they all went out together. Like, deep friendships do get formed within Wildly Alive for sure, where people like drive and meet up to hang out with each other. But the coincidence of it all and the soul sister piece and all of that just made me so happy. So anyway, that very long introduction. Here is Martha. So Martha, yeah, tell us a little bit about, well, I think first, before we even get into the soul sister stuff, I would love to hear why you were called towards mentorship.
Well, thanks for having me, Nicole. I was called to mentorship because mastery has changed my life in ways I can never have imagined, ever imagined. And it's in so many different areas of my life. And I just started feeling like if I could help one woman discover half of what I've discovered in Wildly Alive, that it would make a difference in their life. And that there might be a niche there in terms of fellowship and guiding, and maybe a little wisdom, because I'm a little bit on the older end of your demographic. And so I can identify with somebody who has had 40 years of struggle in a variety of reasons, or a variety of areas. And so that's really why I was called to it. But it really is just because my life has changed dramatically in the last 15 months.
Yeah. So going through mastery. So all mentors, if you didn't know, Wildly Alive has Wildly Alive mentors. Once you graduate the year-long program of Wildly Alive Mastery, you can become a mentor and also help other women along their Wildly Alive journey. And so Martha has recently kind of jumped into that. And so, okay, so let's talk about Soul Sister. How did you feel last year around this time when we started talking about female relationships and, diving into this piece of the program?
Scared. I was petrified you were going to tell me that I was going to have to make a friend. And it was because I just didn't think I didn't think about it. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I didn't have close female friendships. I have had some rocky relationships in the past with other women. And I had pretty much, I would say in my 40s, just decided, I'm going to just go the rest of this on my own, that I'm not going to invest, because you get hurt. You have all these resentments. You feel it's so one-sided, all of those things. And I had been away from that probably for 10 years and was completely content. I was happy about it and thought, when I saw the Soul Sister being advertised, I thought the Sisterhood Rising was about the sisterhood, which I was so comfortable and really loved. But the Soul Sister, I knew was going to get to the personal level. But like you said, I signed up for this and I'm going to do it. And it was transformative.
Yeah.
Literally transformative.
Okay. So let's just highlight for everyone listening, okay, that there always tends to be a level of denial when we start talking about this work. And it's not always conscious, and that's like the biggest thing, Martha. She's like, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't even realize how. Would you say, now that you have sisterhood in your life, would you say you were lonely?
I think that there was a hole there. I don't know if it was loneliness because I think I never paid attention to it, and I fed that with other things. But now looking back, I was certainly missing out in terms of my heart, and just having a different kind of relationship, a different kind of caring, a different kind of loving that I had never even experienced before. And so I didn't know that I was lonely. I didn't know what I was missing. But now, less than a year later, if I don't talk to Roxanne every day, I am lonely. I miss her. It is like a piece of me is not there.
Okay. So translating this to your relationship with yourself and your body, because that's at the core of Wild Be Alive. Can you see or maybe connect some dots on how that hole could have been filled in not so fulfilling ways?
Oh, absolutely. I can give you an example of even in the morning, because Roxanne and I live at different time zones. And so I'm up first. And so now I get up in the morning and make tea and spend my time boxering with her and catching up on the day before, versus standing in the kitchen and maybe eating breakfast at the counter mindlessly, just doing. She and I both carve out time in our day to really nourish ourselves. That's my word for this year, is nourishment. And it nourishes us. It nourishes our hearts. It nourishes our soul. And it has put in place a time and a place for me to slow down. And I look at it as moments of self-care in the morning. My morning routine is part of self-care, where I'm drinking tea and I'm getting hydrated and my heart's getting nourished. And I'm kind of really starting my day on a positive note. I mean, there's nothing negative. And so it's beautiful that I can start my day slowly with Roxanne, and then I'm not compelled to be doing things mindlessly. And I just feel good, like when I go to work, because I feel like I've had that morning coffee with my friend.
Yeah. And I think Martha brings up a really good point that is important to really highlight here, is this busyness. I think one limiting belief that can come up when we start talking about creating nourishing friendships is, I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm too busy. I have so much going on. And though I understand that on one level, the other piece that you have to understand is that is a self-sabotaging mechanism. It's easier to be overwhelmed and to fill up your calendar, because that is a choice you are making. If you want to argue with me about that or not, that is a choice. You choose to say yes to certain things. It over building friendship, over making time for friendship. And so it's this, when we step into friendship, and like we said in the last episode with Shweta, is there is an act of receiving. There's an act of leaning back, a feminine energy of leaning back. Doing is leaning forward and getting things done and hustling and grinding, and something that our society really ingrains in us. But the feminine is leaning back and receiving. And so it's also a change of pace that can feel uncomfortable, aside from letting women into your heart, where there is some pain and some healing to be had. But also, like Martha sitting and having her tea and her breakfast, catching up with her friend on Voxer, there's a level of receiving going on there. There is a level, and that receiving energy could also have you unconsciously sabotage with doing, of like, well, I just rather just inhale my breakfast now and just get it over with in 5 minutes because I have shit to do, right? And that's not, like, true health is about this leaning forward and moving forward, and also leaning back and receiving as well. And so something that's really beautiful when we think about friendship and food, and why food is just not a number or a calorie, and we have to really let that go, is that food is nostalgic. And most of the time when we are in the experience of food, we're also in the experience of love and joy and laughter and conversation. And so now Martha went from a relationship with food and busyness and doing of, let me just inhale my breakfast really quick because I got lots of stuff to do and I'll just get this piece over with and blah, blah. Her relationship with food is also fractured because it's just this transactional thing when really it's about nourishment. It's about receiving all the nourishment that that food has to offer. But if you're inhaling it, you're not digesting it properly, right? Even if you're eating the healthiest things on the planet, people, who eat super healthy still get super sick. And that's because of our relationship with the food. Are we allowing the food to truly nourish us? So now she's sitting and she's drinking tea and she's having her breakfast and she's catching up on Voxer with her friend. And she's getting this full experience of receiving, which is a whole other level of nourishment, not just like eating to what my cousin says and bugs the crap out of me, but it's really funny. He's like, oh, it just creates a turd. That's all it is. It's just, I'm like, no, that is not what food is. Food is not just something that creates a turd. Okay. Like, stop saying that. Like, she's having this experience where she's nourishing so many parts of herself in that moment, not just inhaling food to just create a turd. Like, this is not what this is. No, it's not healthy. No, not good things are going to come from that. And so it's really beautiful, like how probably full, quote unquote, full you feel that experience versus the, like, let's just inhale this experience.
Absolutely. It's, it fills you. It just fills you in such a different way. And since I came to Wildly Alive with some food issues that I wanted to address, it has really removed some of that. And I was a doer when I came to Wildly Alive. I mean, I would come to my office in the morning and work, and most mornings not even make tea. And now I have, because I work at home, I have this beautiful, I get up in the morning, I never turn my computer on before a certain time. I have my tea, I have my time with Roxanne, I enjoy my breakfast. So it has really, and it's changed a lot of things. I mean, we even do our movement together. Sometimes we get on the phone and we're both walking, or she's snowshoeing and I'm not because she's in a snowy climate. So it has changed so many things in our life. And at the end of the day, we kind of review our day together, where I never reflected on my day before. It was just another day. Did I get everything done? Oh, then it was a good day. And as it turns out, it wasn't a good day. And now we, review our day at the end of the day. And I find that I don't have my hand in a bag of potato chips looking for the good day. Part of the good day is reviewing with her.
Yeah, that intentionality of like that gratitude, like I can see how that really comes in is I could, it's so, like that masculine energy of like, oh, did you get everything done on your to-do list? Did you check everything off your list? Was it a good day? But then you sitting around and having a conversation with her of like, oh, I had this really great conversation with my partner, or, with the Wildly Alive mentors, and you're highlighting certain parts of your day that you may have overlooked because we have been so conditioned to just focus on that to-do list, be productive, be in doing all the time. But I could see that's really, really beautiful. So what was it like reaching out to Roxanne? I'm just really curious about that.
Well, I waited till the very last day in the
what?
challenge when we were doing the challenges and we were having the activities every day.
Okay.
And one of them was to reach out. And I waited till the very, I think we were on the last day of Soul Sister.
Okay.
And I reached out to her. And I also had some experience with it with Chris in the sisterhood too, because Chris and I have some similarities. We lived closer together. And so she and I kind of reached out to each other on the same day. But this one, because Roxanne was gone from the sisterhood, we were friends on Facebook. And so I just reached out to her and I thought, the worst case scenario is one thing that you taught me is I could be disappointed, but I could survive disappointment. And so I just reached out to her and I was not at all surprised. She was exactly like I thought she would be in terms of just open to, sure. She was like, do you want to Zoom tomorrow? We just, it took off from there, and she has traveled across the country, and we went on vacation together here in Michigan. And I can honestly say there are things that we have told each other we have never told another human in our lives.
That is so awesome.
But it was scary. It was, the fear of rejection and all that goes with that. If she'd have said, I'm good, I'm all set, am I not enough? All of those things absolutely came in. Helga was there, really strong, but through what you taught us, we would survive that. And you put your hand on your heart and you would try again.
That is amazing.
I didn't have to do that.
Yeah. So you hadn't really talked to her since she had graduated the program a few months prior?
Not at all. We were Facebook friends. So, I would see she was on vacation in Arizona or other, and I would like one of her pictures or, make a comment about, how she's got these great eyes. And so, that her eyes were just so sparkly in the sun or whatever. We would, it was just literally a Facebook connection. We had been in mastery together, I think 2 months, but really didn't do anything in mastery together. She was doing her thing, I was doing my thing. We didn't talk about Wildly Alive, but then, she friend requested me or I requested her, I don't even remember. And so we were Facebook friends. So we saw that, but that was it.
Yeah.
Thanks to Facebook, then that's how I was able to reach out, was Messenger. And
right. And that's something that I talk about a lot within like Sisterhood Rising and Soul Sister is most of my very deep relationships, my soul sister relationships started on Facebook, started on something virtual like Marco Polo, like Voxer, like something like that. And I think there could be some resistance. I mean, even me, like, I wasn't necessarily raised in like technology central. It really started taking off when I was like after high school and stuff, I think is when Facebook. So I definitely felt myself be like, this isn't a real relationship because this is like on Facebook or, Instagram. Like this isn't a real relationship. But I think if that's a limiting belief of yours, you really have to just like set that down, because this is the times that we're living in, if you want to believe it or not. And people are meeting each other on social media and finding their place and finding their community. I mean, again, like everything has a dark side, and I understand that social media has a dark side for sure, but if we can just focus on the beauty of it, and the beauty of it is like you can find community and sisterhood in a place that you can't find in your own local town sometimes. And it's always the hope that you find somebody physical, in your physical environment as well. But there is nothing wrong with having, I mean, most of my friendships who like my friends who even live here, most of our friendship actually does rely off of Marco Polo for the most part, because we're moms of young children and, lots going on and it's busy, but then, you get to see each other and it's like time hasn't even, you're so caught up and, it's so great. So that's so awesome. I love hearing about you and Roxanne. And Roxanne she's a huge advocate of Wildly Alive too. If you have been paying attention, she's sent me really beautiful Voxers that I've asked her to use as a testimonial, and just a really beautiful soul who transformed a lot within the year of mastery as well. So, okay. So is there anything else kind of coming to mind that you want to bring up, Martha?
I guess I would just say that if all of us come to Wildly Alive for a very specific reason. And I would just encourage you when you come that you be open to all the other things, that all the other doors that can open and all the other things that will impact your life, because there are little nuggets all the way along, even if you don't expect it. And you never know when one of those nuggets is actually is a diamond in the rough. And that's exactly how I feel Soul Sister was. I mean, I thought, okay, well, I can learn something in here. Let's do this. And as it's been life-changing for sure. My relationship with her has been life-changing. And I think it impacts other areas of my life in a lot of different ways, not just a friendship.
So wait, what, like, how does it feel for you to be in a container like the mentorship now? Do you
I'm
think you would have been open to it if?
I probably would have been open to it because I have leadership qualities that I bring from my work and my life, but I don't think I would have been as engaged.
Mm.
I don't think I would have been, I would have always been worried about being accepted.
Mm.
Um, I don't think I would have been as giving to the other mentors. I would have been more of an observer versus a participant.
Mm.
Where now when the boxers come, I always think about what can I learn from the boxer because I'm brand new at this, and second, then how can I contribute to this container, to the mentorship container. And I'm not sure that I would have done that with caring before. I would have done it more as a task before. And
Mm-hmm.
now I do it with caring because I care about these other women in this container. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things is it comes with caring now versus just a check mark on a list, a to-do list at the end of the day.
Right. So you're really speaking to that receiving energy. It's what you're speaking to.
Yep.
Because we can get things done, and this can happen within Wildly Alive Mastery, where every class, every month, you get a checklist. And you could easily just go through the checklist, check, 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 got that, got that, and been like this star student who did all of their check marks and blah, blah, blah. But the missing piece is you haven't really received the content in a way that creates transformation and embodiment. And this again is why like things like calorie counting and stuff like that just really doesn't count or it doesn't work. And that's why you could go through a deep emotional program, a very holistic program like Wildly Alive. You could go through it in this very masculine energy and get all of the boxes checked. You don't have to engage in the sisterhood. You don't have to do any of that. You could do it all by yourself and check all the boxes. And your transformation would still exist, but it would be an iota of what it could be if you didn't step into the receptive state of receiving the sisterhood, receiving the coaching, receiving the mentorship, receiving all that it has to offer. So then it creates an embodiment. It creates you actually changing on a deep level. So by the time you graduate the program, you're a completely, I hate to say a completely different woman. What I would like to say is you're more yourself than you ever have been, which could be a completely different woman because you were living your life based on your checklist. You were living your life based on doing for everybody else and achieving what society tells us is the most important things to achieve, which is ultimately not very fulfilling, which is causing us to, run to the food and the wine and the scrolling and all of that stuff. So yeah, that receiving piece that keeps
that
coming
absolutely
up.
happened for me because when I came to mastery, I loved the checklist because I'm a
Mm-hmm.
list maker. I'm a doer. I love to have a to-do list, and that has definitely, I think what I learned is I know there's a time and a place for that.
Right.
I get paid by a university to get some jobs done, and so that's where my list is now, is in my university job, where my personal life, of course I have to get some stuff done. Occasionally you got to do the laundry, otherwise you go without underwear. But
Right.
in general, I am much more lean back, receive, self-care, really take care of myself, which I did not do before.
Mm-hmm. And something that I say in the program is like, you're not like my favorite person if you get every single box checked. That's not what this is about. What this is about, I would much rather you check half the boxes and really, really listen and embody and take in the content, not just listen to the content while you're on your walk and get your checkbox. No, listen to it, absorb it, think about how you can put it into your life and really apply it into your life. I would rather you have 50% of your checklist done. And that's why there's actually portions on the checklist that has a little feminine piece of like, embodiment actually that you can fill in and get points for, inspiration points as we call them, where you can earn like time with mentors or time with me or things like that, personalized attention. Is I'd rather you get 50% of that, 50% of your checklist done fully with all of you than just listening to a class in the background so you can get it off your list, right? So, okay, so thinking about this, this week's awakening activity, this episode's awakening activity. And so Martha brought up something about, like, within Soul Sister, we challenge you to reach out to somebody. I think that would be kind of fun to do here is, and again, this may feel a little intimidating, but is there somebody maybe in the online space, maybe it's a Facebook acquaintance that you have been kind of eyeing and you like her vibe, or maybe it's somebody in the Wildly Alive Playground, which is the free Facebook group that you can always come in and really start exploring some of this stuff alongside the Sisterhood Rising masterclass that's taking place at the beginning of February. But is there someone that you can just, I don't know, reach out to? You can send a message and just say, hey, I have seen you around and I just like your vibe. I like the energy you put out. Would you be down to hang out and have a little conversation on here, get to know each other a little bit more deeply? I've been looking to create more friendship, and if you have space for it, I would love to explore that with you, or something like that. Maybe there's some sort of common interest, like you have a similar dog and you can talk about that, or maybe it's a topic that you guys could read a book together and do a little book club thing together. Or maybe like Martha and Roxanne, they move their bodies together while on the phone. And maybe you're like, I don't know, seems like you go on a lot of walks, you take a lot of pictures of you, what do you think about us hanging out and talking on the phone, getting to know each other while out on walks together? I don't know, like, let your intuition lead. And yes, it could result in disappointment. It could result in that, but you really have to sit with the reality of, like, you have two choices: is avoid this and feel alone, really, ultimately, and then numb all that out with whatever you're numbing it out with, or put yourself out there and know that you can handle the disappointment. But what could happen is something really amazing, like Martha's story and like Shweta's story here. Do you have anything to add to that, Martha?
I know that my words probably will fall on deaf ears. It would have fallen on my deaf ears at the time, but just do it. Just do it. And the electronics is really great because it's not a face-to-face rejection, even if you get that. But there definitely is a diamond in the rough waiting for you. Mm-hmm. And it can really grow into we have a beautiful piece of jewelry together.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. It is way different than in person. And so that's why really texting and all of that is such a great, like, stepping stone to building these relationships, I think, because it's not as intimidating, right? So, and if you get ghosted where they don't reply, it can happen, and you will survive it. And then you can find somebody else and reach out to them, because you deserve this in your life. It's really fulfilling. So thank you so much, Martha, for coming on. This is so great. We're so lucky to have you in the Wildly Alive world. You just have created so much change in your own life. And love that.
I'm grateful for it. Grateful for it, for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will see you all next week. And if you want to join us for Sisterhood Rising, if you're listening to this relatively close to the beginning of February 2022, the link's somewhere around this video or audio. You can always just jump into the Wildly Alive Playground group. We all are really active in there. It's a free Facebook group that's always available to you. And then we also have the Soul Sister class in Wildly Alive Mastery that is going to be starting in February as well. And you can join for $111. All you need to do is go to wildlyalive.com/111 and jump on in. It's going to be pretty amazing. So as always, when in doubt, ask your body. Bye. Oh, how could you just not love Martha? I absolutely adore her. I hope you enjoyed her. She is a huge piece of Wildly Alive. If you ever come in, you will feel her energy, and it's so powerful. So if you'd like to continue this conversation on sisterhood and soul sister, you can go to sameteampodcast.com, where the next episode, where you will meet Wildly Alive expert Tasha. And we're talking about, a topic that you may be slightly surprised by. We're going to talk about anger and rage and how that plays into this whole equation and how we shouldn't be afraid of it. So again, the theme for this month is to stay open. It is a really, really powerful conversation. And if you resonated with this, please share. That would mean the world to us. And we are, of course, enrolling for the Soul Sister class within Wildly Alive Mastery. If you'd like to join us, you could go to wildlyalive.com/111.